We're live.
We're live.
Welcome back to Vertigals, episode 2. Our first episode with a very special guest who will be joining us today.
Yes.
Uh,
Are we announcing it or is it a surprise?
no, it's not a surprise. Today we'll have a very special guest, Adrion Trujillo. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
I think so.
Okay, he'll confirm
He'll
later.
let us know.
But he is somebody who got into the vertical game early.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he's written for Drama Box.
Mm-hmm.
He's a friend of Allison's.
I'm very excited to have Adrian on. He is a friend of mine. I've known him for, 3 or 4 years. We're in another writing group together. And when I first got into verticals, he was the person I turned to I had 2 friends working in verticals at the time, and he was one of them. So he was super helpful, helping me learn the format and reading my scripts. And he's just a great guy and a great writer. And so I'm really excited to have him on. I think it'll be a great time to talk with him.
Yes, he is the writer of the notable Jacked Janitor vs. Golden Boy series on Drama Box, which I really enjoyed.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm really excited to talk to him about how he, what his process was and how that all came together and what inspired the idea. And we will have more on that when he joins us in just a little bit. Before we get into our interview segment, we have a couple of other things we want to talk about. So let's talk about our favorite microdrama of the week. I think this could also be called 100 Slaps because no shortage of slaps in my vertical viewing this week. But Allison, why don't you tell us about what you watched and enjoyed?
All right. I watched on my drama, Spark Me Tenderly.
Okay.
Which has been one of the lead verticals in the rankings for quite a while now. So I wanted to see what that was all about, why it's been so popular. Another one that has been popular is Chained by Her Love. And in watching both of them, I realized it's the same story. One has a female boss, one has a male boss.
Is Chained by Her Love, is she physically chained?
Well, funny you should ask that. There is some light BDSM going on in both of those. And I would go out on a limb and say maybe that's why it's so popular. It's got a fun, tension between the relationship. And I think it's very well written. This is a Ukrainian company.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is under the Holy Water umbrella that was acquired by Fox.
And I would say things are changing now. But in general, I would say watching the things I've watched on my drama, the production's a little higher quality. The costumes are a little higher quality. The rating might be a little bit more cinematic. That is changing. I'm watching more and more on the American apps like Real Short and seeing that they're kind of stepping up to the game.
You mean the Chinese
now.
apps?
Well, they are Chinese, yes. But they're based in America too. Yes. Anyway, so what I really liked about it was definitely the relationship between the characters. The sexual tension, I think, really works well. And just watching the production value, it's just nice to see something that looks cinematic on your screen like that.
Yeah, I think that you bring up a good point. So Allison and I are both writing for my drama right now, and I have found the experience, the 2 assignments I've gotten have been pretty sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not 100 slaps. They are sophisticated storylines and kind of intellectual concepts. And I am finding that the Chinese apps are also offering stories that are more dynamic as I continue diving into what they're offering. And that does seem to be the way it's going. And certainly Adrian's series on Drama Box is one of those. And so we'll dive into that. But I have not seen Spark Me Tenderly or Chained by Her Love. And I'm excited to watch them.
Yeah, I think it's just to see all the different ways these apps are approaching these stories. I think it gives another version that's really important to watch.
Cool.
What about you? What did you watch this week?
I watched Watch Out, I'm the Boss Lady.
Oh, yes.
And admittedly, it caught me like in the middle of doing something else. I got a push notification from Drama Box.
Oh, man.
And I thought, watch out, I'm the boss lady. I could probably relate to that. And I was hooked by the first episode. I thought the first episode was really contemporary, I think is the word I'm looking for. Like, it was a strong alpha character female. It was a strong alpha female character contending with her equal on an airplane. They were talking business, and he was intrigued by her. And as the series went on, she engages with an ex-boyfriend and his a fiance who she believes she's going to marry after spending 5 years in Africa doing charity work. And when she confronts him and his family, who are now at an event to honor him because he's been hired as a PhD at some financial firm. Details unclear.
Well, it's her firm.
It's her.
She got him the job. He doesn't know that.
That's I see. Okay. Well, she definitely raised him. Oh, the $100 billion.
Yeah.
By the way, the other thing that got me hooked on this show was that one of the first chyrons in the pilot, the first episode, was annual salary $100 billion, and I was in. And then after about 25 episodes, I started counting slaps, and I actually found the slaps pretty satisfying because there were nothing was off limits. I mean, men were slapping women, fathers were slapping daughters, and equal opportunity slaps. Everybody got what they deserved, and the alpha female, who was the recipient of the initial slaps, ended up, vindicated. And so I enjoyed that one. It was satisfying, as I think they're intended to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I thought the actor is very hot as well.
Yes, the actors were very. Yeah, he was the like if that level of attractive man finds a boss lady attractive, we're all in, I think.
Yeah, and we always love a hero who loves the strong woman.
Totally. Yeah, he was a good guy.
He's good. All the billionaires are good guys in verticals.
And her loser ex-fiance got what he deserved.
Totally. And a controlling mother-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, so satisfying.
Oh, I love it. So, that sounds great.
Yeah, it was a fun watch. It hooked me organically. Like, the push notification really worked in the first episode. It wasn't... I am not the traditional romance alpha male. I'm not saying I wouldn't watch a traditional romance, steamy romance, and I have watched a few of them on Candy Jar.
On Candy Jar, yeah.
Because Candy Jar, some people say is the like, because they have a library of IP that they largely deal with, but it seems like their whole MO is steamy romance, and it's for the ladies who are looking for that.
And I'm gonna say My Drama as well. I feel like My Drama leans into that.
Into the steamy romance. I'm excited to write. I haven't been hired to write a steamy romance yet, but for anybody listening, I'm ready.
I love it. And my theory with verticals is that wherever else they go, there will definitely be a market for the steamy vertical, because I think it's going to sort of fall in line with the romance genre novel, and women are going to, always kind of turn to their phones. It's like reading 50 Shades of Grey on your Kindle, right? Nobody knew, and you can,
it's
enjoy
private.
All that. It's private.
It's privately delivered to you. It is a singular viewing experience. You're not watching it with other people.
Yeah.
So you can watch it in the privacy of wherever it is that you want to watch it.
Bathtub, what? No, I was kidding.
Toilet. Whatever.
Toilet. I didn't know about the toilet as much. I read that article and I was like, wait.
Oh, yeah. What was it? That moms on the toilet are ruining Hollywood?
I love that. We got to blame the women.
God bless them, though. If that's where the women are we're ruining the workplace in the office, and apparently we're ruining Hollywood from the toilet. So we're getting a lot done.
We are. We're productive.
Yeah, we're productive in our destruction. So we should actually talk about that. The shapeshifter genre. Maybe we shouldn't read the list. Maybe we should just talk about stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah, let's do that.
The ones that are speaking to us are a bit more grounded.
Yeah.
But there is like a whole world of shapeshifting.
Shapeshifters.
Alpha males.
The Omegaverse is what it's called.
What is the Omegaverse? Tell us about the Omegaverse.
No. I'm not an expert by any means. I have upon hearing other people discuss it, I have done a little YouTube research to try to understand it, but um, it's basically this world where people are shapeshifters, usually wolves, but they can be other animals, and they sort of follow the hierarchy of a pack. So there's always an alpha male, there's a beta male, the woman who is betrothed to the alpha male is called the Luna, and then a lot of the times, I think from what I'm picking up from watching a few of these, is that she's usually sort of the unassuming, not popular, not most beautiful woman in the pack, but she is betrothed to the alpha male, so he will go out of her way to protect her and do everything to keep her safe. And her hero, her knight in shining armor. That is my take on it.
I mean, that sounds pretty versed.
Well, yes, I just decided that I wanted to know more about it because it's not something that speaks to me in the way that I understand the billionaire trope, the CEO trope. Like I can get that. I can understand it. The alpha male trope doesn't actually speak to me as clearly, so I kind of wanted to research it so that I could understand like what is attractive about it to people.
Totally.
So that I can write one if I need to.
Yeah, the world of vampires has never really been my thing. I know that there is crazy fanaticism around Vampire Diaries and all those franchises that people love, and it feels like the vertical world is like really a home for that stuff. There's romance, there's
well, I think what's interesting is that I did have a vampire phase in the 90s.
Back when they were lo-fi.
With Interview with a Vampire.
Okay.
So
yeah, sure.
I can kind of relate to that a little bit. But I know there was a speaker at the Vertical Market that said the vampire ones don't actually do well as well. But the shapeshifter ones do very well.
What do you think that is?
I am wondering if vampire is more mysterious and less overt, whereas the alpha male scenario is he takes action protecting her, whereas in the vampire series, he usually has to protect her from himself. I don't know. I'm kind of coming up with this on the spot. I don't know why.
If the shapeshifting thing works because shapeshifters like go in and out of identities, and that's kind of frenetic, and you don't know what you're gonna get, and that works well with the short form dopamine hit.
It could be. I'm gonna plug my friend's series on Real Short, which is called Claimed by My Ex's Alpha Brother.
Oh.
And I feel like it's a really good one to start with. The production's very good. My friend my friend Astrid wrote it, and I think it's a really good one to start if you're looking to sort of understand where these come from, because it's also coming of age. So there's a whole thing where like the girl has to get her wolf, and I'm not totally clear on what that means, but it may parallel like going through puberty.
I think we need to have an expert on the topic as one of our guests.
I think that's a great
somebody
idea.
who's a really versed writer in this world, because we are so new to it.
So new to it. And there's one on Candy Jar that I started that I do actually want to finish because it was hot. It's the first time that I'm like, okay, I could see this being.
I mean, listen, if there's fantasy and hot men, I'm here for it. I feel like I'm in the phase of my life where I'm like just ready to believe that there are other realities that I could engage with.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is all about like living in a different reality. It's called Chasing Kira, I think. Have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it starts off pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
So, leave suggestions in the comments.
Yes.
What verticals should we be watching where there are shapeshifter storylines, and why? We want to watch them. We want to talk about them. We want to interview people about them. We want to know more.
And just your favorite verticals too.
Yeah, generally.
If you've rewatched one, I know people rewatch them. What appealed to you?
Yeah.
As you figure these things out.
Yeah. And also if there are stories on Wattpad, Inkit, Maple Studios Chapters, I think it's called, that are speaking to you that haven't been made into verticals but should be, let us know. Yeah. What are you excited about? We want to talk about it. Let's talk about some industry headlines.
I feel like we need music. Dun, 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 dun.
We're pulling from Ben Odell's Vertical Gardens, because that is the pulse of what's going on in the vertical business world.
Yes, make sure you follow him on Substack.
Make sure you follow Vertical Bloom and Open Gardens. I think I called it Vertical Gardens. It's Open Gardens. That's a Substack on the creator economy, and Vertical Bloom is the Substack.
Okay, thank you for breaking that down because I actually was confused by that.
Okay, I think it is a Substack, or perhaps it is its own Substack. We should know more about this. But I want to talk about a new player coming into the game because I think that was kind of a highlight. I know there was a headline this week that Holy Water did a reality vertical called Love or Dare, which is pretty cool. That's premiering on My Drama on November 21st, which I believe is today. Is today November 21st? It's premiering today. Which is pretty cool. It's not
This is being shot on November 21st.
Yes.
We should say this.
Today is November 21st.
Here.
It is a post-rain day in Los Angeles, California.
And thunder.
Lots of thunder last night. I didn't sleep. I don't think Allison did either. So if we're tripping over our words, that's why. Anyway, so yeah, they did a reality series called Love or Dare. This is not the first reality series I've seen in verticals. I saw one on Real Short a few months ago that was like a dating show, and I don't remember the name of it, but I just think that this is so ripe for all reality. Like, I think that Love Island is easily a vertical show. I think that so many of the like super sensational competition and dating shows that are on TV could very easily have vertical formats. So sorry, Hollywood. We're ready to go vertical with it. So that's exciting. I guess Harry Johnson is on this vertical. He's on Netflix's Too Hot to Handle.
That name.
It's
Is that a real name?
Harry Johnson?
Yes. Is that a real name?
It took a minute. It's a real name. Harry, if you're watching, we're laughing.
Come be a guest.
More exciting news. There's a Pakistani microdrama app that's about to launch. That means more work opportunities for writers and producers, we hope. Yeah. It's called Begin. It's Pakistan's fastest growing streamer with deals among the likes of Sony Entertainment and NBC Universal, to name a few. Yeah. They're betting big on microdramas. The platform is building a dedicated vertical drama app with Tencent, an unmistakable signal that short-form, mobile native storytelling is becoming central to its strategy in a country where half the population is under 30. The youth is watching.
Wow. Go Pakistan.
Go Pakistan. There's a Drama Dash, a Turkish-based platform, is carving out a spot in the vertical ecosystem as well. So check out Drama Dash. It's found success with thrillers, action, mystery, and even comedy, which I'm personally very excited about.
100%.
I'm genuinely just excited to write more thrillers and comedy for these vertical apps because it just feels like the timing and tempo is so good for that. And I guess there is a show spotlight, The Secret Life of Amy Benson on Viglu. Logline. After losing her entire family, Amy has spent several years on the run from unknown danger. When she meets Liam on a flight, she has no idea her life is about to change. For his part, Liam plans to help her whether she likes it or not. 35 episodes on Viglu. We should check it out and talk about it next time.
We should, definitely. I like Viglu. I've watched a few on there.
Yeah, I like Viglu too.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about Isabel Dreon's Blind Bride of the Mafia Boss, which was on Viglu, and that felt like it could have been a TV show. It had a really dynamic narrative. It was emotional. It was, it had however many episodes actually followed a story the entire time that felt like it could be on TV.
Yeah, great twists, great reveals.
Yeah, good acting.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because as I dive more into the craft of verticals, I see these techniques that are just really focused upon in verticals. They are in all the great shows.
Yes.
I mean, I've been watching I'm Late to the Party, but this summer I Turned Pretty. And there's moments where I'm like, oh, this is right out of a vertical, but of course it's the opposite way. But it's, these narrative techniques, when done well, are why we watch these shows.
Well, I think a lot of TV shows are now getting privy to the fact that people have shorter attention spans. So when I watched Hunting Wives on Netflix, I was like, oh, this could totally be a vertical.
Right.
I mean, there's sex, there's deviance, there's sensationalism, and you don't have to, these streamers have caught on to like the fact that people are watching these shows as second viewing. So they need to keep trying to catch your attention. And that's what vertical writing is. The cliffhangers need to keep coming. I feel like The Pit on HBO could be a vertical because the stakes are so high and the dopamine hits are so consistent. It almost feels like it's a new episode every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're listening, producers, I think procedurals are also a thing we should be exploring on these verticals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do a personal question. Okay. So what do you think your favorite thing about watching verticals is? Like, what attracted you to it?
I don't have to think. I feel the experience.
Okay.
You know what? I just want to be a girl. And I think that these verticals allow me to just be a girl.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you enjoy about watching them?
I think that speaks to a lot of it. I definitely like some of my favorite shows I find they fall into two categories. I either like the ones that feel like rom-coms and there's a little bit of humor underneath it, and you are watching just to see when this guy and this girl are going to get together, and how this crazy plot is going to unfold. And then I also do think that the more steamy ones are fun because of that niche that they fill. So definitely the escapism, and ditto the idea that it doesn't feel as heavy or as serious as a lot of other writing is. Like, from a writing standpoint, I can just feel a little bit more liberated to not worry about exposition because they want exposition.
Totally.
And to not worry if your characters have subtext. Like, it's not supposed to have subtext.
Totally.
And
I
just
think get to the point.
Yeah, get to the point. So as a writer, that's definitely what has been drawing me to them, because I think things are heavy now in the world, and to have that break for your brain, is, whether you're watching it or writing it, has been a much needed relief.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend who is a producer's wife. She's a professor of evolutionary biology. She's a very highfalutin intellectual, and
fake news.
And she said that she's a huge romance novel fan. Like, she's like, I spend all my money on romance novels. She has 2 kids. She's in her 40s. And she's like, if I want any sort of sex life over 40, I need to read these romance novels. And I was like, oh, like, well, you better check out these verticals. And like, for me, it's like, I just want the opportunity to just be a girl. And there's a gradient to that of like how far that goes with women. So that's where we're going to introduce talented, brilliant writer Adrion Trujillo. We're so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know in the nascent vertical circles, you are a name that people know because you got into this so early and you're so versed in it, and talented and skilled. And so we're really excited to learn what you have to say. Allison, do you want to introduce?
I will introduce you with your bio, if that's okay. Adrion Trujillo is an award-winning writer with a storied history in vertical, working with Pocket FM, Drama Box, Shorts, and Shorts Max on both hit shows and notable experiments. He specializes in verticals related to the male frequency, but will knock it out of the park no matter what the prompt. So thank you, Adrion. Thank you for being here. And Adrion and I go back, I think 3 or 4 years now, from a traditional screenwriting group that we're in together. And so when I first heard about verticals and learned that you worked on them, you were generous enough to sit down with me and tell me all about them and pass on your expertise and read my first attempt at these and give me amazing notes. And I am grateful, and we're so happy to have you here with us today.
Yeah.
Lately I've been getting a lot of LinkedIn messages from people in traditional media and television
It's really hot right now.
Yeah, they're messaging me like, "Hey, I see that you're in verticals. I would love to get into verticals. It seems like a fun like a fun way to make money on the side."
Yeah.
As though I don't work like 12-hour days
Right.
Well,
to write
that's
these things. The turnaround times are absurd.
insane.
I mean, my friends used to laugh. Now they more so like ask how to get a job. It's a nice change of pace, but there is still this like, it's easy to write verticals.
Right.
It's so in that incubator that we took, I would say you either get it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of these traditional screenwriters, it's a different muscle,
Yeah.
and some people are going to take to it and some people aren't. I think a lot of people think that they're easy, but what we talked about in our first episode is that there is actually a tremendous amount of skill and artistry that goes into this, and it's a completely different way of thinking. I know that I had projects developed at Quibi, and I have produced for the internet, short form, web series, the whole thing. And I thought going into this that I was like, oh, I know how the internet works, And then I took Isabel's class and learned how to write these, and my first stab was completely off. And she gave us notes, and then I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, this is a completely different thing. This is writing from a different place.
Yeah.
You're not writing from a like experiential, cerebral, intellectual place. You're writing from the gut.
Yeah.
And it's like an art in and of itself. And in order to actually make it work and make it engaging and make it dynamic is not easy.
No.
So tell us about yourself.
Yes.
Who are you? How did you get into verticals? Why are you doing this?
Yeah. Who am I? I am a gay writer from Los Angeles with 3 dogs and a husband, and I used to have way too much time on my hands. When I first moved to LA, like it was right before the pandemic. So jobs dried up really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then the writer strikes, and like it just felt like for almost 6 years I had no job to speak of. I was mostly consulting on people's screenplays, sort of word of mouth. And I wrote 1 or 2 episodes for like a horror vertical that I think came out. I'm not sure.
What platform was that for?
It was on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
But
nice.
just like unprompted, you did that?
No. A writer that I know, she got hired to write on the series, and she pitched me as like someone else to bring on board. Oops, didn't mean to bump that. So I saw a tweet. That's the real story as to how I got into writing vertical. There was this person named Christian Rowe who posted a tweet that was like, "Hey, writers on Twitter who've been circling the drain for a while, I have a chance for you to write for money. I need to put together a room for something. Send me your writer's resumes." So I did. And about 2 months or so later, I got an email asking to interview for Pocket FM. So on the day of the interview, I get in there, and the first thing that Christian says is, "Hey man, I actually have no interest in offering you this position. I don't think you're qualified at all to do this, but I saw someone in your table read on your website who was in one of my table reads. How do you know Dan?" So
Wow.
like after I got over the feeling of like, oh, this person's trying to waste my time, I just kind of shot the shit with them for 3 hours. And at the end of it, they were like, "You know what? If you have samples, send me a sample. I'll be happy to read it. If I like it, I'll send you on to the next guy. But dude, you really don't want this job. It sucks. Turnover is high. People are quitting left and right, and if they're not, they're getting laid off.
Wow.
And you're it's not gonna be a fun time.
Man, this is how every horror job story starts. Is, dude, you don't want this job. No, I want any job.
I love that he was honest with you.
Oh no, I love Christian. I feel like that story doesn't paint him in the best light, but he is like actually a really really good guy. And like, yeah, I got hired at Pocket. 4 interviews later.
4?
3 interviews later. Sorry, 4 in total.
Were these all executives at Pocket FM?
Yes.
Yeah, I have 2 friends that worked at Pocket FM. They actually met while, I think because they got laid off on the same day, and now they're dating, and they're like gonna live happily ever after.
What?
So
Cute.
that's a
That
love
is
story that
very
came out of the Pocket FM fuckery.
Pocket FM.
I'm glad at least some good things.
Yeah, they were exactly what you're describing. Like they were like, fuck, I just like they're both like really talented TV and film writers, and they were like, we just need the money.
Yeah.
And then they got fired. And
we do need to be. We better not put them in too bad a light, because
Oh,
Fuck 'em.
mean-
I don't know. I don't know these people. But
Pocket's being sued by like everyone
lots
who
of
ever
people,
worked
okay.
there.
All right, I was just throwing
we
it
can
out there,
also-
but
we can also
feel
cut
free to
it.
We
ignore
can
me.
cut it.
we can cut
If-
it. But I will say that yes, they found love in a hopeless place, and that was Pocket FM.
Yeah, I mean,
That's amazing.
I could keep going on that story. I wouldn't paint it in the best light. But
That's okay. We're here to be honest. We're here to
yeah.
tell you how it is.
This is Vertigal's Unfiltered. So yeah, so about 9 days after I was hired, I wrote one female-oriented show, and they laid off everyone in my hiring group except for me and one other writer. And they even fired Christian, who had hired us. I guess they found out he hired through Twitter, and we're not super excited about that. But in the end, it was just me and this other writer left, and then the other people who had been hired by someone other than Christian. And I was really feeling like an extreme amount of, I think especially because of what had been said about me being underqualified, I was feeling an extreme amount of, what's that anxiety when you don't think that you're good enough?
Oh, imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah, I had a ton of imposter syndrome, but then suddenly I was on a Slack message where the CEO of Pocket was like, "We have this very important IP that we just bought. We need a good screenwriter to write the live action ad for this one. Make sure they're good." And Steven Botso, my boss at the time, was like, "This is Adrian. He's the best screenwriter we have."
Aww.
And I had to get over that feeling of like imposter syndrome really quickly. So then I was writing a male-oriented show, which is incredibly rare for this space.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I learned a lot about how you can be successful in the male frequency in vertical. It takes appealing to a slightly different audience than normal, one that is more attuned to like anime tropes and like video games. I think personally that audience skews a little younger, and that's why a lot of these companies have failed to appeal to any significant male audience. But anyway, it was cool. And then eventually Pocket realized that making their ads with AI was just much cheaper. So they laid off the entire live action department, and I was adrift until Drama Box, and I wrote Jack Janitor.
Nice. So tell us about that experience. How did that idea come about? How, tell us.
Yeah. So, in my interview for Drama Box, I was asked, what I thought might work as a male-oriented show, to appeal. There's like a lot of concerns that these companies have as to like who the audience is for these things. They generally think that they're far more conservative. They think that they're middle and upper ages. So they were like, well, how do you like? We're aiming for men. We don't really care what type of men. And we also want something that's going to appeal to women, because they had a lack of faith that you could make something, and I think smartly, to be honest, that you can make something that just solely appeals to men and it'd be successful in vertical. So I just kind of quick pitched, a janitor at a boxing gym who is actually super strong, and everyone thinks that he's weak, and he's in love with this girl who is dating this guy who's kind of shitty, and he's like, rich and cocky, and one of those guys that's like so handsome you want to punch or kiss.
I go
Because if I knew anything about the male-oriented audience, it's that they respond well to anime tropes. So shonen tropes, like Naruto, for instance, has a lot of like, I don't know, homoeroticism in it. Like, not a ton, but like Naruto trips and kisses Sasuke in the first episode. There's an episode later on where they're like hanging from a vine that like splits over a log, and so they like they smack together in a kiss. And it's like something that happens. And if you think about like male-oriented content in Western society as well, like Top Gun or Saving Private Ryan, like they're all gay as hell.
Covered in a lot more brawn, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it it was an experiment. It worked and didn't work. But I do think that there is something to be said that like men crave like a platonic intimacy that they don't really get in society, and also it'd be too gay to ask for it. So they kind of like male friendship, and women like shows about male friendship too, because one, they can like look at it and giggle, but
well, you get two hot men on the screen, which, as we know, is important to me when I watch these things.
Good. It's good.
Yeah, that's why I try to make them as shirtless as possible.
Yeah, no,
you did well.
Thank you.
Did you find that the way the show was shot was verbatim how you wrote it?
Yeah, more or less.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you read the script.
No, just seen it.
I wrote it in a way that's very like visual first and punchy. I'm really proud of that one.
Yeah.
No, it was really good.
Thanks.
I have read the script, and it's very good. So yeah, it's and you were on set too. You got to go to set and be part of the filming. Tell them about the actors. Tell us about the actors.
Yeah. I love those kids. Like, for as long as I'm doing this, I'm going to suggest casting them in things.
What are their names? Do you want to say their names?
So Mark Ciccarelli played Jack Hertz. It's what he does and what he is. Jared Staub played Paxton Whitlock, and Emma Renegal.
Good enough.
Good enough. I'm hoping I'm getting that right. Played Angie Bianchi.
Who played? Was it Joe Gigante?
Andre Gigante.
Andre Gigante. Excuse me.
He's an actor named LX. Like the
clearly. Were the tattoos real?
Yes.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah, no, he's a character. He was a great presence to have on set.
These, there's so many people in LA that are like, I don't even know how to categorize. Like, they're models, they're influencers, they're these like super expressive people, and like I feel like this is where the world, like, I meet these people that like come up through reality TV or modeling, and they want to get into acting, or they want to do the soap operas or whatever, and I'm always like, like, keep auditioning. And it's like this, it feels like all these people that come out here that are just like, first of all, like, so hot and like blessed, in a way that like the average person is not. It's like, yes, here is an avenue for you.
Yeah. I will say it was like one of the more intimidating aspects to be like of being on set.
Yeah, that's how I felt at the vertical market. I was like, oh, right, that's who these actors are.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. You could tell the actors at that market because they all like looked so
they
nice.
Looked, they were soap opera.
They were glowing.
Stars. Yeah, they were just the most attractive people.
I was like,
I
showered. Do I get credit for showering?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, back to.
So tell us about your amazing actors.
Yeah. No, they were wonderful to have on set. I've met a lot of vertical actors, and these were the first ones that I've met that seemed to actually care about what they were in.
Oh, cool.
Like, they both kept their scripts on them and like wrote notes, though I'm pretty sure with Jared it was really a way for him to covertly nap. But they, like, Mark wrote an entire backstory on a note paper that he like kept on him to like give him proper motivation for Jack while he was acting the character. And I thought that level of dedication was just so, I mean, I felt honored because I've worked with vertical actors before that, I mean, and I don't blame them. Okay, if I had to get up every day and say like I'm in heat around Alpha Magnus, like I don't know if I would be able to look at myself in the mirror. But
it's a paycheck.
Yeah, it's a paycheck. But it was refreshing, and they were both so dedicated that they like spent, I guess, 5 days bunking together so that they could grow a closeness and have chemistry. And no one told them to do that. I just want to, for the record, no one told them to do that.
Yeah. They cared. They truly cared.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'm like forever grateful for them.
So tell us about your writing process for this project. First of all, like, was the idea original? And then something that Allison and I had talked about before you showed up is that something that I think makes this particular project stand out is that it was dynamic from start to finish. I find with vertical, sometimes after 25, 30 episodes, it starts to get a little repetitive or cyclical, and the story thins out a bit. With Jack Janitor, you really managed to like run through the ABC storylines without being overt about it, and there was a dynamic story throughout all 54 episodes, I think.
And the stakes kept elevating.
The stakes kept elevating, and the character development was really on point, and like we really cared about what happened to these people. So tell us about like how you accomplished that, where the inspiration for the idea came from, and kind of what the process was.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's okay to talk about this now because what are they going to do? Fire me?
Sue you? I don't know.
I don't. Probably not. Wouldn't be worth it. You will get no money.
He doesn't have the money.
It's. So yeah, I had to spend my last $1 today on this haircut.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this was an original idea. I worked for the development department at DramaBox, which was at the time very trying to kind of elevate and improve upon the vertical formula. So we were told to think about the cycles as though the cycles of a vertical as though they're like individual episodes of a TV show, right? So when I was thinking about Jack Janitor, to me it was like it was arcs based around set pieces. So like here's the hotel arc, and here's the like beach episode. I don't know how much of that actually went into the end. They go to a spa. Um um so that kind of played into the development. I really wanted to make, I think I was concentrated on making something that created a retained viewership. I think a lot of these vertical companies, they're talking about they're acquiring viewers through ads. Like, to be honest, verticals really are just a covert form of advertisement. Yeah. But yeah, they're because they're there to sell coins. That's what they exist for. There is a lot less emphasis put on the last 30 episodes of a vertical, mostly because one, those episodes probably won't be used as ad creative. And then two, um, they they only exist so that the viewer that is still watching just has a reason to keep watching. Mm-hmm. Right? So they de-emphasize that at every part of the process. They de-emphasize the final episodes in the writing process. We're given a week to write the first 15, a week to write the second 15, and then a week to write the last 30 episodes of verticals. They're de-emphasized in the editing process. There is one like lead editor with a lot of experience that's placed on the first 15 episodes. Then their degrees of experience go down as they get to the final set of episodes, and that person editing it sometimes doesn't have any oversight from any person above them, giving them notes, telling them how to effectively tell this story. So I wanted to change that and like write something that is solid all the way through, and that has an ending that's worth getting to. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not sure about traditional television, but I know that in verticals it's very common for only about 30% of the audience to get to the end. Well, I just wanted to make sure that if people got to the end, they got a solid, like, an ending that they remembered, that like stuck with them.
Well, and what I hear you saying is that you were trying to elevate the vertical, which is this word that gets tossed around everywhere right now. And yet, I think in practice, exactly what you said is still happening, where they'll say they want to elevate something, but really they're still sort of stuck into this formula because it's been working. But here you are trying to say, well, this is actually what has to happen to elevate a vertical.
Did they tell you how it performed?
Yes.
And how did it perform?
So it did. So I can't go too into detail on the numbers. I think that I'm not allowed to do, but I can tell you that it did very, very well in ads, like ad cycles. The ad loops did well, competitive. But the actual retention through the first paywall, not the paywall, the first few episodes really, was really bad. And I think if I have to blame it on anything, I think it's that full minute of child acting just at the start of the show, which I don't think played well with our male audience.
That's interesting.
But, you live and you learn. And I know that men don't sympathize with children, which I guess I kind of intuitively knew before, but I was thinking, like, if you see a child getting hurt at the start of something, you're going to it's like going to trigger an empathy response. But
do you know if these apps, first of all, do they take a profile on the person subscribing? I don't think they do.
They get most of that data through I can't speak for every app, because some of them do track, like they ask you when you log in, like
male, female.
I think My Drama asked me directly. But I know that in the case of like Pocket FM and Drama Box, we got our data on the gender of our users, the average age, mostly from click-throughs on Facebook. So we could get that data because that was more or less public. But I'm not sure. The thing is, it would be easy enough to track people's data on their phones.
Yeah,
no,
true.
So I really don't know why these companies don't just do that.
I wonder if they are pushing. I understand that the marketing models around these companies are pretty underdeveloped.
Yeah.
And very well financed, but not fully realized. And I wonder if you know if they were pushing. Do they advertise the content for men differently than they do for women? Are they putting the marketing on different platforms, or like how are they trying to reach men?
So I think that like industry wide there are various strategies. I'm saying a lot without saying anything at all. I think these companies make very common marketing mistakes. And one of them is that they have a kind of one size fits all way of marketing every show.
Right.
Even the female oriented shows should not all be marketed the same.
Right.
But it's like the cheapest form of ad creative that you could possibly commission is just taking 10-minute chunks of the show and plopping them onto social media with no editing at all. Right? Just like throw in some music, some licensed music that you can use because it's an ad, and then just call it good. And that impacts the way these things need to be written. But it also constrains these things to specific audiences and tastes that it limits the potential of even the more successful verticals. I mean, I've looked at back end data with people before who were just like, this is crazy. Like a traditional marketing firm, like an American marketing firm, would just take this industry and like blow it out of the water, right? Like, you know, but at Drama Box, the marketing team for the entire company was like 6 guys in China.
Yeah, I think that's going to change in the new year when all these American companies, like, I think the business structure around this is really going to change.
Yeah, I actually have I have much less faith in the longevity of the Chinese competitors in this market, mostly because their marketing strategies are so inflexible.
Which worked in their market.
Well, it worked to build it to this point.
Right. But here, I don't think it's going to be as successful.
Well, it's actually worth recognizing that these are not the way that they're advertised here is wholly based around Meta and the way that Meta works. Right. Meta's algorithm. But China doesn't have an equivalent to Meta. They're advertising mostly through Douyin, just by like putting the first cycle of a vertical on Douyin and allowing you can even watch and purchase the shows there.
Okay, I know what Douyin is.
It's TikTok.
It's TikTok.
Okay. It's Chinese TikTok.
Okay.
But in case you are,
is that down? Red Note?
No. Red Note is Chinese Instagram.
Got it.
I mean, Instagram meets Pinterest. But no, Douyin is like literally just TikTok.
Got it.
Okay.
But segmented out because we can't get Chinese TikTok on TikTok, and Douyin likewise can't get Western TikTok on Douyin.
Got it.
But they're the same app. They even have the same logo, just different regions. Anyway, in China they just drop it onto that app, and you can watch them there, pay through a paywall there, and for the most part, verticals, except for ones that are premium or exclusive content, are free. Like the model there is based on watching with ads. Like the majority of their audience, like 80% of their audience, watches primarily through ads, which is why the Chinese verticals are better in a lot of ways than the American verticals, because they're not constrained by the ad loop 10-minute chunk on Facebook video. Like, when you're writing a vertical, you have to keep in mind like that there's an audience, a huge portion of the audience that could be jumping in at literally any minute at the start of any of your episodes. That could be the start of an ad creative, which means that the audience either needs to understand very quickly what's going on, or the drama of what's going on needs to not require context. Right? And so this is why verticals are so difficult to write, and it's so hard for people to wrap their heads around, because at every point of a vertical, it is the start of a commercial. And yeah.
That's fascinating. I love that way you said that.
Yeah, it really, and then, I mean, hence the cliffhangers. It's like, it's almost as if every episode is its own tiny contained storyline.
Yes. That's exactly how like Shortmax advertises its shows. It actually does a similar thing to the Chinese advertisement. It just drops episodes of its shows on TikTok, but just the single episode. So unlike like Real Shorts or Drama Box, who will take 10-minute chunks, the loops, the cycles, and put them on Facebook video as an ad, they're dropping just one episode, and that's supposed to make you curious, make you want to click and watch more.
Is that usually the first episode, or can it be any of them?
It could be any of them.
Wow.
Interesting.
You first taught me about the idea of a delayed gratification when it comes to writing a vertical. Could you talk a little bit about that and your philosophy about that?
Yeah. So verticals are they're like the content equivalent of a slot machine, or like Farmville, right? In fact, a lot of vertical apps, like they're owned by companies who originated in mobile gaming. So like when you're waiting for your crops to grow in Farmville, and then they finally grow after 10 minutes, and then you have to watch 3 ads to collect the crops. Like, it's that principle of like constantly putting a carrot on a stick, a reward of a dopamine hit, of some sort of satisfactory story beat that you want to see happen. In a steamy show, it's you're waiting for the characters to smash. They're always on the cusp. They're always right about there. But then there's a paywall, and the paywall, once you pay past it, that gratification you thought you were just about to get is yanked away from you. Suddenly someone gets a call while they're about to smash. Someone gets a call that their grandmother is in the hospital, and they need to pay the money or she'll die, right? And so then the story for the rest of that loop is just getting back to them like about to smash. And
so
it
that
just,
you can delay it again for the next loop. Yeah.
Right. This is why verticals enter plot purgatory, is what the fans call it. They loop cycle after cycle, because they have to function as a method of like forcing an audience to buy coins.
Right.
Through subtle psychology.
It is very subtle.
It's not evil.
It's different. Like, writing the cliffhangers feels so much more intense than watching them. Like, when I'm watching them, I'm like, there is a real subtlety to what hooks a person into watching the next episode.
Yeah, it's very interesting, to be honest. I feel like the way that you're taught to cliff in television, it's different.
Super dramatic.
It's like,
heavy.
the biggest dramatic beat. But verticals, sometimes you're supposed to give a little bit of a dopamine hit on, just give them a little taste, right? So a woman's about to be robbed, right? And a guy's about to hit her with a club, and all of a sudden, like, a hand grabs. We would have cut in television. You would cut that there when the club is about to come down on her. in a vertical, you wait for the rescuer to put a hand and grasp the club out of the air, and then for the female lead to say Jason, and then you cut.
Totally.
Or better yet, you're like, so because you want to find out who the
Yeah.
hand is,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's totally true.
Yeah.
You are waiting for these characters to have a romantic come together,
Yes.
and it's better if you leave the audience on the indication that right after the paywall that's going to be fulfilled. It's very ironic because people keep falling for it.
well, that goes back to like the difference between writing for film and TV and writing for these. You're not writing from the head, you're writing from the gut. And
Yeah.
I think you're watching.
Emotion.
Yeah, we were talking about why we enjoy these, and it's not cerebral. I think like
Yeah.
for me, my answer is it lets me be a girl, and like
Yeah.
the little girl in me is reacting to different things than like the conscious part of me that has to function in my day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that aspect of this. Sometimes when I'm writing these things, I'm trying to channel my sister playing with her dolls in my head.
Yeah.
And how one cuts the hair off the other one.
So true, though. I mean, all the fantasy elements in whichever genre you're talking about are your little girl fantasies. Like, you'll marry a polite, wonderful billionaire. Like,
Yeah.
Well, it's easy. It's
easy.
just easy. It's like, yes, he provides
is.
the security, and
Yes.
yes, you don't have to think about this. You just have to go with the flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And endure the slaps, and then there's justice.
I had a friend ask me about why some of these have a very unlikable male role sometimes, the bad boy. And I said, well, isn't that a woman's fantasy too? Is that you tame the bad boy? Like, he's brutal to her in the beginning, but then he realizes that she's wonderful and he needs to change his ways. And I'm like, that's totally a girl fantasy.
There was one I saw on, I think, Drama Box, and I'm blanking on the title, but it was about a woman who was 20 pounds, or a teenage girl who was 20 pounds too heavy to be in the elite high school.
Yeah.
And the bad boy, she like turns the bad boy and he falls in love with her, and all the hot girls are like, why? It was like, Mean Girls.
I can't remember the name, but I saw that one too. And I
Yeah.
love that.
I loved that one. I could totally, like, who doesn't relate to that? Like, oh, you feel like you're not good enough.
We'll
and
get the
then
name for the
somebody's-
next episode.
Yeah. We'll try to edit it in. I'll put a Chiron right here.
Oh.
So that we don't waste too much of your time, if you were to give any advice to people aspiring to write in this world, what would you say?
Like how to get a job or how
No,
to write one of these?
Well, sure, you can tell us how to get a job, but more
LinkedIn.
like
LinkedIn.
yes, put vertical drama writer in your LinkedIn
Yes.
profile.
Yeah.
And
The
nothing
amount
else.
of attention you're going to get is pretty wild. No, but like just writing advice for people, like your friends who are hitting you up from Legacy TV who want to write verticals. Like, what do you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like what we were just talking about. I think it's helpful in vertical to think about, in TV you're constantly thinking about the journey that the character is going on. Verticals are more about the journey you're taking the audience on, right? From one whim to another. And so think about what is it your audience wants to see, and always be giving them that, but not quite.
I love that.
Love that.
Are you able to talk about what you've got going on? Anything that you can tease here?
I mean, I'm working with I'm very booked and busy these days. I'm working with a lot of companies on developing a number of shows, but I don't think I'm allowed to speak on them at the moment.
Okay.
We're very excited to hear about it.
Yeah,
more.
I'll let you know when things get closer.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Adrian. This was so enlightening.
So great.
And
As I knew it would be.
yeah,
He's brilliant.
yeah. Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness and your insight, and just sharing your experience. We've had a really great time talking to you.
Sick.
All
I
right.
had a great time being here, so thank you. For
Are we
having
your
me.
first podcast?
Yeah, this is actually.
Wow! Yes, you heard it here first on Vertigals. Awesome. You do it.
Well, thank you guys for listening, and well, please comment about what verticals you would like us to watch and talk about, And
tune in next time. Our next guest is going to be seasoned vertical writer Isabel Dreon, the lady who started it all
for us. Yes.
for Allison and I.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.